when was it that the hustle culture actually became a personality trait? Like we'd actually introduce
Right?
ourselves by how busy we were.
Yes. I'm so busy. I don't know if I can fit you in for dinner until 6 months from now. We can tell just by the state of the world today that there is no shortage of people who are running on empty. People are popping off at the dumbest things. People have no tolerance for anything anymore. Why? Because they're tired. Welcome back to Unapologetic Rabble-Rousers. I'm DocShellie.
And I'm Carla Lewis. And today we're coming for one of the most celebrated, exhausting, soul-sucking crowns out there. The crown of hustle. You know the one. The crown that says, if you're not grinding, you're not growing. If you're not running yourself ragged, you're not worthy. And if your calendar isn't full, well, you must not be
Loser.
important. So we're gonna have some fun with this and talk about what it looks like to take that crown off and maybe even rest your neck a little bit. So let's do it. Take the crown off the hustle.
Yes. So there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I used to be guilty of this myself, just stay busy to avoid being still. I would pack my days and my weekends with everything I possibly could. Now, at the time, I did not really recognize that I was doing it because I just didn't want to be left alone to my own devices.
Don't leave me alone. Okay.
But when I reflect back, it's like I worked full time. I was in school full time. I played volleyball. I played tennis. I had times with my friends. I traveled. Like there was a lot going on. And it kept me busy and I had fun doing it. It wasn't like there was no conscious thing of, oh, I got to make sure I have plans for tonight because I don't want to sit home. I did sit home once in a while, but it was a rare occurrence. So I think some people keep themselves busy to avoid that stillness that we just talked about in the last episode, and even stillness in a slightly different way too. And I think hustle can feel like purpose,
Well,
and it's
okay.
not.
No, it's not. And in fact, so when was it that the hustle culture actually became a personality trait? Like we'd actually introduce
Right?
ourselves by how busy we were.
Yes, I'm so busy. I don't know if I can fit you in for dinner until 6 months from now because
Yeah,
I'm
right.
just that busy.
I am that busy. And so it's interesting because there really is a difference between working hard, playing hard, and actually being owned by that hustle. And I think you began to hint at that in your opening comments about you just don't want to be still.
Right.
So if stillness is badness, then hustle, you can't help but want and go for as much hustle, which also looks like filling your calendar, always having somewhere to be, something to do. So there's a line between that working hard and being owned by the hustle.
I think
So,
hustle for a lot of people becomes their identity.
yeah,
And then it also becomes your prison. Because
absolutely.
think about who benefits from you staying exhausted.
Well, isn't that an interesting
Like
conversation to
the
have?
world glorifies burnout. That's ambition.
Okay, how often you work with leaders? A lot.
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. And in the time we spent together and since and before. So how often, if at all, do you see leaders wearing burnout like it's credibility?
Oh, all the time.
Really?
All the time.
And how do they go about actually displaying this, that this credibility, aka burnout? What does that look like?
There is those people that go on quote unquote vacation who don't actually leave any work behind. They take it all with them. They work during their vacation as if it's a badge of honor.
Oh.
There are people now I do this, but I don't do it because I don't have anything better in my life to do. I do it as self-preservation sometimes, is I check my email late at night. That is also when my brain works its best. I do not work shifts that say, oh, you should probably work at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I will sometimes check my email late at night because I don't get up super early in the morning. So some people are 24/7 attached to their work devices and they expect an email in return. If I send an email late at night, I preface it with saying I do not expect a response until your normal working hours. But some people never let go of the career aspect of their life. It's 24/7, even when it doesn't need to be. They don't take vacation. They quote unquote will leave the country or they'll go on vacation, but they don't actually act like they're on vacation. This also brings up a whole different issue of, are you incapable of delegating? Do you not trust your team? So there's a whole lot of issues that come into how people are receiving your hustle you think is a great thing. Meanwhile, the people around you are going, man, this dude's a lot, never takes a break. Is that an expectation? Now, if I go on vacation, you expect me to be connected 24/7? Because when I go on vacation, I go on vacation.
That's right. And and that we could do several episodes just on that. But there's another piece to this. Another question would be why does hustle feel safer? You just talked about it from a vacation point of view. So why does hustle feel safer than slowing down, having that vacation, taking that time off?
Because many of us, especially women, those in the marginalized communities, are taught that laziness is the opposite of hustle. So if you're not doing more, you will be less. How many times have you been told as a white woman, you have to work harder than the men? Now amplify that for every Black woman that I've ever met in my life who's been told you have to work 10 times as hard as everyone else to just prove that you're worthy of being wherever you are. And then you have to keep doing it because you got to prove yourself over and over and over again. I think that's where a lot of this mentality around the hustle is good. And I can't rest because rest is for the weary. And I am not weary. I am not weak.
That's pack behavior. I am not going to show any weakness, and especially as a woman. But I want to acknowledge that anybody can fall victim to that set of circumstances. And oh my goodness, I was just reminded of a decision that was made on my behalf about a job I would get because, and this was internal, and it was like, okay, at some point, at some level, you didn't get to choose where you might want to go.
Mm-hmm.
You were chosen, and then you went, and I was okay with that. I interviewed twice in my life, once at the beginning of that 30-year career and once at the beginning of the next 10-year. But I got a job because I had time to be 24/7 available.
Let me guess. Because you were single and you didn't have any children.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. So there were no complications.
Right.
It was okay to accept that my life didn't really matter outside of work. So therefore work could encroach on the whole thing. I got this job because I was single and had no kids. So yeah. And I'm not taking away from the people in the margins that it's just ugly. It's just ugly. So when we start adopting that factor or that sense that if I'm observing from a place of power and I see some people hustling and some not, there are conclusions that are likely inappropriately reached about who's valuable and who's not.
Yeah, I have a client right now, and he ends his day at 5. He ends his work day at 5 o'clock every single day.
Excuse me.
And he is often perceived as a slacker, a non team player.
Mm.
And he's like, I get my job done. I close the office at 5 o'clock. I go home. I have dinner with my wife. And then I go coach whatever soccer team he coaches, whatever sports team he
Mhm.
coaches. I don't know, football, soccer, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But that's perceived as being a slacker. I get my job done. I will when my job is done for the day, I will reach out to the other managers in the area and ask, what can I help with? Can I help with this? Can I pull these reports? But still, because he closes shop at 5 o'clock, which are their hours, by the way.
Oh, there's another 6 chapters or
And
episodes.
so he has a reputation of being lazy and not a team player. He's like, I've never once not met a work obligation. I've done everything on time, if not sooner. I offer help to all the other areas, facilities. He's like, I don't know what else I can do. I'm not working overtime. I don't get paid for overtime. I'm not working overtime. I have a life.
Yes.
And apparently that's a bad thing.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All kinds of stories flooding back into my
Yeah.
memory right now. One in particular, kind of along those same lines. You work your hours. You got let's just call it 8 to 5. And there was the introduction of a new time card. Yes, people, we used to have time cards in white collar jobs. Okay. So anyway, so we were told you needed to record your accurate time. And okay, fine. Oftentimes I was working still 1, 2, 3 hours afterward, after the closing bell, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because I had production information systems that I was responsible for. These things would run later, blah, blah, blah. And so I would put down my hours, and I was called on it saying, Carla, you put down till 6:30 and we stop at 4:30. I said, well, you asked me to record my accurate time. I worked until 6:30. I know, but we only work from 8 to 4:30. Okay, well, what do you call what I did from 4:30 to 6:30? The fact was that I needed to be absolutely accurate in my timekeeping unless it made it look like I was working more than they wanted to. I said, is this is this a document that's eligible for use in a court of law? Well, yes. I said, well, I'm not lying on it. But you think, okay, so that whole notion about, oh my gosh, the expectation that the 40-hour week really is a 60-hour week or whatever it is nowadays, so frustrating. And so here you have this person who's getting everything done. What is not being a team player? How do you get not being a team player out of getting all your work done and being able to contain it in the workday? And I'll bet there are people listening to this right now who are nodding and saying, yeah, same thing. And so, oh gosh. So for the people that push beyond then, that whole notion of hustling, because maybe that's what's expected, is I'm going to test a notion here that, yeah, I know, tests, that there's some kind of fear that's disguised as drive and ambition, that fear of irrelevance or fear of being judged or fear of slowing down enough to actually face ourselves. And you hinted at that earlier. If you keep your schedule busy enough, then you don't have to spend time with yourself.
It's a hiding place.
Yeah. Imagine that. Going for burnout so you don't have to be with yourself. Oh my goodness.
Well, it's easier to keep moving than it is to face your fears, because what might surface in the silence?
Let's say what might surface in the silence. If you never pause, you cannot gain any perspective on you or anything else. So we rob ourselves of that opportunity to really reflect and gain perspective on things as opposed to just being on that hamster wheel and I'm go, 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 go.
Mhm.
That's a pretty doggone strong fear. If that fear of facing yourself is enough to drive you to risk your health, your relationships.
I had a client. I got to think about how I can phrase this without giving away who it was. I had a client who was very much the hustle, all about the hustle, to the tune of his wife had an accident and was taken to the hospital. And he said he couldn't leave work because he had too much to do. I was like, you, you, anyone who works around you would have dropped whatever they were doing to go be with their spouse after this accident. It was a pretty bad thing that happened to her. And he was like, he was like, he was so afraid he was going to lose his job if and he was high up in an organization. But he was like, the hustle is more important than taking a perceived break to go care for a loved one, even if it was just to go and check in, make sure she's good. But no, he just couldn't even do that. There was a lot of that with this guy. So when you think about where you're at with the hustle, what are you hiding from?
Mm.
And recognize that there are some really good things that happen when we can reclaim rest as a power move. I've talked about it a lot on my other podcast. I talk about rest all the time. I think it is a highly underutilized trait and skill. Rest is not a reward for your hard work. When we slow down, we can create better strategies. When we slow down, wisdom comes to the forefront of our brains because it's not so bogged down with all the other bullshit that's going on in our day. As a rested person, you probably are going to make some pretty brave decisions and some bolder decisions that you would never make if you're tired.
Yeah. Hustle isn't the same as ambition. It's anxiety with a marketing team.
Yes. There's a woman who, I forget what her name is, Trisha somebody. And there's a thing that she created called the Nap Ministry. And it's a whole thing around the idea that rest is resistance. She's a Black woman. She was raised in that whole grind culture, the hustle culture. And she started taking naps as an intentional act of healing herself. And it became a whole global movement. It's kind of cool.
I'm not aware of it till this moment. So thank you for sharing that. And the power of a good 10-minute nap in the middle, especially if it happens to be in the middle of a stressful day or a day that's demanding a lot of creative energy. Yeah. It's like breathing after that first spring rain on a warm day, that fresh air that just feels so rejuvenating. I know that people who have a lot of stress going on at the moment might not even be able to imagine taking a nap, much less giving themselves permission to even a 10-minute respite.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, a nap, like literally for me, I don't nap. I'm not a napper. Apparently, I was not a napper as a child. So if I do fall asleep in the middle of the day, it is problematic for me. So my version of a nap is to sit and meditate.
Mm-hmm.
I might just watch TV for 10 or 15 minutes or a half an hour it's a shift from whatever it is that I'm hustling on to take a break because we need to make some decisions and we need to be mentally ready for that. I cannot be in an exhausted place when I make my decisions because if I do it when I'm in the midst of the hustle, it causes rework. I hate rework. I cannot tell you the disdain I have for rework.
But how do you feel about rework?
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I can step out of the hustle It's like a nap from the hustle. It doesn't
Yes.
necessarily mean a physical nap. It might for some of you. I have a friend who is a power napper. This woman can decide, she could tell herself, I'm going to take a nap, and she'll be lights out in about 2 seconds flat. And I'm like, how do you do that? And then she'll wake up 10, 15 minutes later, like a brand new woman. I have another friend who she lays on the floor and she puts her legs up the wall. That's her 10 minutes of a break. It's relaxing. It recirculates the blood, and she just feels like that's a 4-hour nap for her, even though it took her 10 minutes. So think about it's really a nap from the hustle. It's not literally closing your eyes and falling asleep, though it could be.
It's about being able to separate from all of that, all of the stuff that's going on, and you get your wheels spinning in a different direction or
Exactly.
stop them spinning. Just a quick insert about the napping. I I heard it was a report on the radio 1,000 years ago, it seems, but there's training available that comes from the military where they teach the service members how to go to get to a sleep state in a very short amount of time because those opportunities in the field may not present themselves on a regular basis.
Right.
So it was a very interesting report. I should probably
I'll
look
have
it up.
find that training and see if it works for me.
Yeah, yeah, because especially if you have trouble falling asleep, even it's time, your four-legged kids are in bed and everything's all shuttered up and ready to go. If there's stuff going on, I don't know about anybody else, but occasionally I have those nights where my mind just will not shut off. And so there's nothing restful about that.
Mm. Yeah, my problem is I rarely get tired. When I'm tired, I can fall asleep. I have to do a whole bedtime routine like during the week because I have to get up at a certain time to start my day. So I go through this whole routine, and it's rarely that my mind doesn't shut off. I'm just physically not tired. I'm like, let's go. So I have to go through this whole routine to quiet, just relax everything. I journal, I meditate, I do some yoga. It's ridiculous, but it works. But I might not start that till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I only get a couple hours of sleep. And according to my Rise app, I have an 18-hour sleep deficit. I don't know how one overcomes that. That's another episode. Clearly, I need help.
Okay,
back to the hustle here.
Back to the hustle and offering some of that kind of help for our listeners.
I think it's important to recognize, and we can tell just by the state of the world today, that there is no shortage of people who are running on empty. People are popping off at the dumbest things. People have no tolerance for anything anymore. Why? Because they're tired. What we need are present people in this world. People who choose enough over endless. Well, I don't have to prove anything. So take the hustle crown down, lay it down, let it go. Be more present in your own life. Be more present for the people who you care for, that you're leading, that you're mentoring, all those things. Lead by example. Take a break. You don't have to earn it. You already deserve it.
Permission granted.
There you go.
I'm Carla Lewis.
I'm DocShellie. We'll see you next time. What we need are present people in this world. People who choose enough over endless. I don't have to prove anything. So take the hustle crown down, lay it down, let it go. Be more present in your own life. Be more present for the people who you care for, that you're leading, that you're mentoring. Lead by example. Take a break. You don't have to earn it. You already deserve it.